your family committed all these acts against society, but we just want to let you know, we as a people are not afraid.
The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control.
Once called the richest family in the world.
Was integral to his success. Afterwards, he wrote me a wonderful letter.
For centuries, whispers of wealth and power have followed a single name: Rothschild. Behind the myths and the conspiracy theories lies a true story of strategy, innovation, and influence that forever changed how money moves across borders. Today, we uncover how one family engineered modern finance and why their legacy still shapes the world you live in. Origins in the Frankfurt Ghetto. Meyer Amschel Rothschild, 1744 to 1812, was born in the Judengasse, the cramped Jewish quarter of Frankfurt, where strict laws restricted Jewish economic and social life. Despite living in modest conditions, Meyer displayed remarkable aptitude for finance at an early age. He apprenticed with a banking firm in Hanover, where he gained exposure to currency exchange and international trade. By the 1760s, Meyer had opened a modest business dealing in rare coins and antiques, which introduced him to aristocratic clients. His reputation for reliability and discretion grew, leading to close connections with the powerful Prince William of Hesse-Kassel. Through this partnership, Meyer learned the mechanics of large-scale lending, preparing him to create something unprecedented in European finance. The limitations of the ghetto paradoxically sharpened his ingenuity. Unable to own land or join guilds, Jews like Meyer focused on portable wealth, money, precious metals, and securities. This necessity pushed Meyer toward innovative credit systems that could function across borders, even when Jews were barred from mainstream banking institutions. The Five Arrows is a family banking network. Meyer Amschel and his wife Gutella raised 10 children, 5 of whom became the architects of a banking empire. The brothers, Nathan in London, James in Paris, Salomon in Vienna, Karl in Naples, and Amschel in Frankfurt, became known as the Five Arrows, symbolizing both their unity and their geographic dispersion. Each brother was strategically positioned in a European capital, giving the family direct access to different political regimes and financial markets. Their system resembled one of the earliest multinational corporations, with branches that operated semi-independently but maintained close ties through coded correspondence and couriers. The Rothschilds' ability to coordinate across borders allowed them to move capital more efficiently than any rival. If one government needed funds in a foreign territory, the Rothschilds could facilitate the transfer seamlessly without physically moving gold, an extraordinary advantage in an era when transporting specie was slow and dangerous. Financing wars and political stability. The Napoleonic Wars, 1803 to 1815, created both risks and opportunities. As governments scrambled to pay armies and supply allies, traditional financial systems proved inadequate. The Rothschilds filled this gap with a web of credit and bills of exchange that allowed states to finance campaigns without relying solely on fragile coin shipments. Nathan Rothschild in London became especially influential during this period. He secured contracts to supply the Duke of Wellington's forces in Spain, using his family's continental branches to transfer money rapidly across enemy lines. By creating a trust-based financial pipeline, Nathan helped ensure Britain could pay its troops consistently, a logistical feat as important as battlefield victories. After Napoleon's defeat, the Rothschilds financed post-war reconstruction. In 1818, they arranged a £5 million loan to Prussia, followed by a £9.8 million loan to Britain's allies in 1819. These sums, enormous for the time, underscored the family's role as indispensable financiers to Europe's great powers. The myth of Waterloo. The Rothschilds' wartime activities spawned one of the most persistent myths in financial history. According to an 1846 pamphlet, Nathan Rothschild used early knowledge of Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo to manipulate the London stock market and amass vast profits overnight. While the tale was sensational, historians have found little evidence to support it. The Rothschild fortune was built not on a single act of opportunism, but on years of disciplined lending, meticulous risk management, and shrewd diversification. The Waterloo myth, however, became a cornerstone of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, illustrating how envy of financial success could morph into political hatred, building Europe's railroads. With peace restored, the Rothschilds turned to the engines of industrial growth. During the mid-19th century, they became the foremost financiers of Europe's railway boom. Their capital funded the construction of major lines in France, Austria, Germany, and Italy, linking previously isolated markets into integrated national economies. The family's involvement went beyond simple lending. They often coordinated technical standards, such as railway gauge sizes, to ensure cross-border compatibility. This foresight accelerated trade and industrialization, laying foundations for Europe's modern transport infrastructure. In France, James de Rothschild became a leading figure in railway development, founding the Chemin de Fer du Nord in 1845. The line became one of the most profitable rail networks in Europe, symbolizing how Rothschild financing could transform regional commerce. Investments in mining and energy. Railways were only one piece of the Rothschilds' industrial portfolio. They also invested heavily in mining enterprises, particularly in coal, copper, and iron. These resources powered factories, ships, and railroads, making them indispensable to 19th century economies. In Austria, Salomon Rothschild financed the state ironworks in Moravia, while in France, the family supported ventures in coal mining. Later, they also invested in petroleum, recognizing the potential of oil as a transformative energy source. By providing capital to industries that required long-term investment and large-scale infrastructure, the Rothschilds distinguished themselves from short-term speculative financiers. Their approach combined patient capital with political connections, ensuring both profitability and influence. Navigating 19th century upheaval. The 19th century was marked by revolutions, nationalist movements, and the rise of joint stock banking corporations. The Rothschilds adapted to each challenge with remarkable agility. The revolutions of 1848, which threatened monarchies across Europe, were especially dangerous for the family, whose clients included many conservative regimes. Yet the Rothschilds' neutrality and financial acumen enabled them to preserve relationships with both old aristocrats and rising industrialists. Meanwhile, the emergence of stock exchanges and limited liability companies introduced new competition. Unlike traditional family-run houses, joint stock banks could pool resources from many investors. To remain competitive, the Rothschilds diversified their holdings, entered partnerships, and increasingly engaged in industrial rather than purely sovereign finance. Despite these challenges, the Rothschilds maintained a reputation for reliability. Their bonds were considered among the safest investments in Europe, a testament to their cautious management style. Cultural patronage and philanthropy. As their wealth grew, the Rothschilds also became prominent cultural patrons. They financed art collections, libraries, and scientific research, using philanthropy both as a means of social integration and as a moral responsibility. James de Rothschild in Paris amassed one of the great art collections of the 19th century, while other family members funded hospitals, schools, and synagogues. Their philanthropy helped counter the hostility they faced as Jews in predominantly Christian societies. Importantly, the Rothschilds supported Jewish emancipation causes, funding organizations that worked to secure civil rights for Jews across Europe. Their influence, therefore, extended beyond finance into social reform and cultural enrichment. The decline of centralized power. By the late 19th century, the Rothschilds' dominance was beginning to wane. Several factors contributed: the growth of large joint stock banks, the spread of public capital markets, and the fragmentation of the family fortune among multiple heirs. While they remained wealthy and influential, the centralized power the Rothschilds once wielded gradually diluted. Meyer Amschel's warning that fortunes rarely lasted beyond 2 generations proved partly accurate. Although the Rothschilds endured far longer than most, internal rivalries and structural changes in global finance reduced their singular authority. Nevertheless, their institutions survived, continuing to play significant roles in Europe's economic life well into the 20th century, surviving world wars and nationalization. The 20th century brought existential threats. World War I disrupted financial networks, while World War II brought persecution, expropriation, and in some cases, exile. Rothschild properties in Austria and France were confiscated by the Nazis, and several family members fled abroad. After the war, European banking underwent sweeping changes. In France, the Rothschild Bank was nationalized in 1981 under President François Mitterrand. Though this stripped the family of one of its oldest institutions, they quickly re-established Rothschild and Cia Bank, demonstrating their resilience. In Britain, N.M. Rothschild and Sons adapted by shifting from traditional banking to modern financial services, including advisory work for mergers and acquisitions. The creation of Rothschild and Company. In 2003, the British and French branches merged to create Rothschild and Company, a unified global financial advisory firm. This merger consolidated the family's scattered interests and gave them renewed prominence in the international marketplace. Today, Rothschild and Company focuses on investment banking, asset management, and private banking. Its reputation rests on discretion, independence, and long-term relationships with clients, values that echo Meyer Amschel's original philosophy. Beyond banking and diversification into real assets, the Rothschilds' wealth has never been confined to financial services. The family owns extensive real estate holdings, including estates in Britain and France, as well as vineyards that produce some of the world's most prestigious wines. Chateau Lafite Rothschild in Bordeaux, acquired in 1868, remains one of the crown jewels of the family's agricultural portfolio. These ventures reflect the family's strategy of diversification, ensuring that their legacy extends beyond banking into cultural and luxury industries. The weight of conspiracy theories. Despite their genuine contributions, the Rothschilds have long been targeted by conspiracy theories. From the 19th century onward, anti-Semitic agitators portrayed them as puppet masters, controlling governments and economies. These myths, ranging from the Waterloo tale to claims of world domination, fueled dangerous stereotypes that contributed to Jewish persecution. The persistence of such theories demonstrates how financial power, especially when combined with minority identity, can attract hostility. Yet the real history of the Rothschilds shows not omnipotence, but entrepreneurial skill, adaptability, and strategic foresight. Enduring legacy in global finance. Though the Rothschilds no longer dominate international banking as they once did, their legacy permeates modern finance. They pioneered cross-border credit systems, perfected government bond issuance, and demonstrated how family networks could create multinational enterprises. Many financial practices now taken for granted, such as syndicated loans, bond underwriting, and multinational advisory services, were shaped by Rothschild innovations. Their conservative approach to risk, combined with a willingness to invest in transformative industries, created a model still studied by economists and historians today. Today, their story reminds us that strategy, foresight, and connections can leave a legacy that lasts centuries. If you found this deep dive into the Rothschilds fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more insights into history's most influential figures. What do you think was the most impressive move the Rothschilds ever made? Share your thoughts in the comments below.